All right, let's dive into something pretty huge today. We're going to follow one single powerful idea on an incredible journey that spans 2,500 years. It's an idea that's changed its clothes, it's worn different masks, but you know what? It has never gone away. So let's see where it all started. It all kicks off with a question that feels, well, both super simple and impossibly deep. Just look around you for a second. Is the world you see? You see, the room you're in, the screen you're looking at right now, is any of it really real? Or is it possible that it's just a copy of something better? Way back in ancient Greece, the philosopher Plato came up with a mind-bending answer. He said that this physical world we live in, it's just a shadow. It's an imperfect, blurry copy of a much higher, more perfect, and more real world. In that other world is a realm of perfect ideas he called the forms, like the blueprint for the perfect chair, the very essence of justice itself, or pure, undiluted beauty. Now, to track this incredible story, we're going to frame it as an epic intellectual relay race. The baton is that core idea from Plato, and we're going to watch as it gets passed down through history, from one brilliant thinker to the next, and each one puts their own unique spin on it. So here's our roadmap for the race. We'll start, of course, with the original idea from Plato. Then we'll see it get a massive spiritual update. After that, it crosses a kind of religious bridge into a whole new world, and we'll finish with a totally surprising modern rebirth. And just look at the sheer scale of this thing. We are talking about millennia here, from Plato's Academy way back in 400 BCE, through Neoplatonism, the Middle Ages, and all the way up to the birth of modern logic in the 1800s. I mean, wow. This idea clearly has some serious sting power. So let's get to it. Time for the first leg of the race, the person who started it all, and the very first handoff of that intellectual baton. Okay, so the starting pistol fires with Plato. His most famous way of explaining this is the allegory of the cave. He pictures these people who have been chained up in a cave their whole lives. All they can see are shadows flickering on the wall in front of them. For them, that's it. Those shadows are reality. Plato's whole point was, we're those prisoners, and the physical world we think is so real, it's just shadows on the wall. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The first handoff of the baton, it happened almost right away. When Plato died, his own nephew, a guy named Speusippus of Athens, took charge of his school, the Academy, in a grab at that baton, but he immediately started running in a slightly different direction with it. And you can see the change perfectly here. Plato thought the ultimate reality was these abstract forms, goodness itself, justice itself. Speusippus argued that the ultimate reality was actually made of abstract numbers. It's a subtle tweak, but it's a huge one. It pushed this whole way of thinking towards mathematics right from the beginning. All right, for the next leg of the race, we're going to jump forward a few centuries. The baton has been passed around a bit, and now this idea is about to get a major spiritual upgrade from a group that literally call themselves the new Plotinus, or Neoplatonists. Our next star runner is a guy named Plotinus. He grabs the baton around the year 200, and he gives Platonism what you could call a massive software update. He totally transforms it from just a theory about what's real into this intense personal spiritual journey. A quest for the human soul to find its way back home to a divine source. And here's his system. It's kind of like a waterfall. At the very top, you have this single unknowable source of everything, which he called the One. The first thing that flows out from the One is the intellect, and that's where Plato's forms now. And then from the intellect flows the soul, which is the bridge connecting that perfect world to our messy physical one. For Plotinus, the whole point of life was to climb back up that ladder to the One. In Plotinus, wasn't a one-man show, not at all. He kicked off a whole movement. His student Porphyry wrote stuff that became a standard logic textbook for 1,000 years. Another thinker, Iamblichus, added in divine rituals, basically saying you needed more than just your brain to make the journey back. And then later, Proclus came along and organized the entire system with almost mathematical precision. This thing really had momentum. So picture this. The Roman Empire is starting to crumble. A whole new world order is rising with Christianity at its center. So how does this pagan Greek idea survive that upheaval? Well, it doesn't just survive, it gets adopted. Let's see how Platonism was basically baptized into a new faith. The key figure here. The next runner holding our baton is an absolute giant, a dusting of Hippo. He was a hugely influential Christian theologian, and he saw something amazing in Plato's ideas. He truly believed that Plato was the pagan philosopher who had gotten closer than anyone else to the truth of Christianity. So Augustine decides to build a bridge between these two worlds. And this right here, this is his genius move. See, for Plato, the forms just kind of existed out there in their own abstract space. Augustine performs this brilliant reinterpretation. He takes the forms and places them directly inside the mind of God. They become God's eternal thoughts, the divine blueprints for all of creation, and that single elegant move ensured that Plato's ideas would survive and thrive for the next 1,000 years. And this baptized Platonism, its reach was immense. It shaped how later thinkers like Pseudo-Dionysius imagined the entire hierarchy of angels. Fast forward centuries later, and it gets rediscovered by people like Ficino, who sparks this huge Platonic revival during the Florentine Renaissance. The baton, once again, was passed successfully into a whole new era. And now we have reached the final, and honestly, maybe the most surprising leg of our entire relay race. The idea is about to shake off its religious and spiritual robes and get reborn in a field that at first glance seems like it has nothing to do with any of this. So let's meet our final runner. He's a 19th century German magician named Gottlieb Frege. He wasn't a mystic, he wasn't a theologian, the man was one of the founders of modern mathematical logic. And yet, in this absolutely fascinating twist of history, he's the one who picks up the Platonic baton. Just listen to his core belief. Frege argued that things like numbers and the laws of logic, they're not just things we made up in our heads. Now, he said they are objective, non-physical things that exist in their own realm, completely independent of whether we're thinking about them or not. Hang on a second. An independent reality of abstract, non-physical things. Wherever we heard that before, it sounds incredibly familiar, doesn't it? This is what's known as mathematical Platonism, and it brings our entire story full circle. For his timeless objective numbers, our direct modern descendant of Plato's timeless objective forms, the baton has finally crossed the finish line. So after 2,500 years, passed from philosopher to mystic, from theologian to mathematician, this core idea is still kicking, still sparking debate, and it leaves us with a really provocative thought that takes us right back to where we started. If numbers and logic really do exist out there on their own, what else does?